Hello everyone, myself Sudipta Roy, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmacology, Bengal School of Technology, welcome you all to the second part of centrally acting skeletal muscle relaxants. In our previous video, we have learnt about what are centrally acting muscle relaxant drugs and the classification of drugs. We have also studied about the three categories of drugs in detail. So let us recall a bit. Now, centrally acting muscle relaxants are the drugs which reduce skeletal muscle tone and lessen muscle spasm by a selective action on the cerebrospinal axis. But they does not cause any kind of alteration in consciousness. That is, the patient remains conscious. These class of drugs selectively depress spinal and supraspinal polysynaptic reflexes which are involved in the regulation of muscle tone without significantly affecting the monosynaptically mediated stretch reflex. Well, after that we had studied with the various drugs that act as skeletal muscle relaxant acting through central nervous system. The first class of drugs we had studied was benzodiazepines. We had seen how benzodiazepines act with the help of GABA A mediated receptor channels, how they increase the amount of influx of chloride ions into the cells and cause CNS depression. The second class of drug was GABA mimetics. Now GABA mimetics acts through GABA B receptors. We had studied about the GABA receptors that are known to cause inhibition of the CNS. It has two classes, namely GABA A and GABA B. These GABA A receptors are ion channel receptors, whereas GABA B receptors are G protein coupled receptors. We have learnt about the various mechanisms involved in GABA A and GABA B mediated chloride channel inhibitions. The third class of drug was central alpha 2 agonists. We have seen how this class of drug, the alpha 2 agonist, inhibits the release of excitatory amino acids in the spinal interneurons and may also facilitate the inhibitory transmitter release, that is glycine. The last class of drug, that is mefenecin congeners, was left out in the last class. So let us start today's class with mefenecin congeners. Mefenecin is an aromatic ether that acts mainly on the spinal cord and causes selective inhibition of polysynaptic excitation of motor neurons. Thus, mefenecin strongly inhibits the postsynaptic flexor withdrawal reflex but does not affect the tendon jerk reflex, which is in other case monosynaptic, and thus it abolishes the rigidity of the muscles. Mefenecin was the first drug that was found to cause muscle relaxation in animals but did not cause any kind of unconsciousness. It was also found that the primary site of action of mefenecin is the spinal cord and modulates reflexes maintaining the muscle tones. But the problem with mefenecin was if it had been administered orally, it would cause gastric irritation, and thus this was the major limitation of administration of mefenecin. It is used clinically to a very little extent, but sometimes given as intravenous injection to reduce acute muscle spasm which results from injury. But intravenous injections may also cause hemolysis and fall in blood pressure. It has been widely included as an ingredient in counter-irritant ointments. Various mefenacin congeners are carisoprodol, chlorzoxazone, chlormazanone, methocarbamol. So let us study about these congeners of mefenacin. Now, carisoprodol is a favorable muscle relaxant with weak analgesic, antipyretic and anticholinergic properties. It is widely used in musculoskeletal disorders which are associated with muscle spasm. The next one, chlorzoxazone, is very much similar to mefenacin but has a longer duration of action and is better tolerated orally, which mefenacin is not at all tolerated orally. The third one is chlormazanone. It has anti-anxiety and hypnotic actions and is used for tension states associated with increased muscle tone. The next drug is methocarbamol. Methocarbamol has a less sedative action and a longer duration of action than mefenacin. It is orally used in reflex muscle spasms and chronic neurological diseases. It can also be injected intravenously without producing hemolysis or thrombophlebitis. Thus, can be used in orthopedic procedures and tetanus. Though this class of drugs are not known for their muscle relaxant activity as it is less established because of gastric irritation and sedation, which are the major side effects. Apart from mefenacin congeners, some other drugs are also used as centrally acting spasmolytic drugs. The very known amongst this is dantrolene. Now, dantrolene is a hydantoin derivative which is related to phenytoin, as we can recall that phenytoin is an anti-epileptic drug and has a unique mechanism of spasmolytic activity. Dantrolene, in contrast to centrally acting drugs, reduces skeletal muscle strength by interfering with excitation, contraction, coupling in the muscle fibers. The normal contractile response involves release of calcium ions from its stores in the sarcoplasmic reticulum, as we all know. Now, calcium is released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum via a calcium channel called the ryanodine receptor. See, it is written RYR. In short, it is written like RYR, ryanodine receptor channel, because of the plant alkaloid ryanodine that combines with a receptor on the channel protein. In case of skeletal muscles, this ryanodine receptor channel is termed as RYR1. Dantrolene, how it acts as? Dantrolene interferes with the release of activator calcium through this sarcoplasmic reticulum calcium channel by binding to the RYR1 and blocking the opening of the channel. Motor units that contract rapidly are more sensitive to the drug's effects than are slower responding units. But cardiac muscle and smooth muscle are minimally depressed. Why? Because the release of calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum of cardiac as well as smooth muscle involves the different ryanodine receptor channel called RYR2. Now, dantrolene, only about 1/3 of oral dose is absorbed and elimination half-life is about 8 hours. Its major side effects are generalized muscle weakness, sedation, and occasionally hepatitis. So, with that, we come to the end of this classification and their mechanism of the drugs. Now, let us list down some uses of centrally acting skeletal muscle relaxants. The very first one is acute muscle spasms. Now, acute muscle spasms consists of overstretching of muscles, sprain, tearing of ligaments, tendons, dislocation. Some causes painful spasm of muscles. The therapy includes mefenacine-like and benzodiazepine muscle relaxants combined along with analgesics and sometimes GABA mimetics. The next, lumbago and backaches are also painful spasms of certain muscles and has a prominent feature. They also respond to all the centrally acting muscle relaxants in the same way. The third involves spastic neurological diseases. These are impairment of descending pathways in the cerebrospinal axis and withdrawal of inhibitory influence over the stretch reflex that causes chronic increase in muscle tone or spasticity. In this case, baclofen, which are GABA mimetics, diazepam, that is benzodiazepines, tinazidine, and dantrolene, the last group of drug we have studied about, have the therapeutic activities. The last one is the orthopedic manipulations or the orthopedic uses. In this case, diazepam or methocarbamol found their use. In case of anxiety and tension, we have also studied that increase in muscle tone may cause anxiety and tension. So, diazepam group of drugs or chlormethazone benefit their anxiety and tension because of anti-anxiety activities as well as their muscle relaxant actions. So, these are the list of uses, some uses that find the use of centrally acting skeletal muscle relaxants. So, with that, in this topic, in this chapter, we have 2 videos comprising of what are centrally acting muscle relaxants, the classification of drugs, the mechanism of each class of drug with examples of drugs that is being used, the list of uses of these centrally acting skeletal muscle relaxants in various diseases. With that, I would like to end up this chapter. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you.